Alright, today I am filming from my phone, so we'll just see how that goes. Fingers crossed. My name is Royal Seeley, and today I want to talk about a recent order I made to Abilletage as an overseas, non-fluent Japanese customer. So I primarily speak English, although I am learning Japanese, and I thought it would be really helpful to share my experience as someone that is not completely fluent in ordering through the Abilletage website as well as the customer service I received. The spoiler alert here is that the customer service I received was excellent and that I was able to navigate the site without much issue. So, a little bit about me. I am primarily a Lolita. I tend to lean more towards sweet and sometimes classic inspired coordinates, although I have been dipping my toe into old school and it is a growing interest of mine. So, this year I've been on a very low, if not no buy at times, especially for main pieces, in order to focus on filling in gaps in my wardrobe. I'm at the point now where I have a lot of options for both tights, blouses, and shoes. And the areas that I find myself really lacking are what Lolita fashion is known for, in my opinion, which is the details. You can have a wonderful cord, but I think that the thing that will take it to the next level is that little detail, whether it's an earring, a ring, and things of that nature. I think that really can draw a lot of interest to a coordinate. What I've been doing personally is I've been looking through these Gothic Lolita Bibles that I've managed to pick up on secondhand sites overseas. I found it really nice as a way to both absorb aspects of the fashion that maybe I wasn't privy to before. I joined after the Gothic Lolita Bibles went out of print. I am a newer Lolita, so my exposure to things like Lolita rules as well as coordinating is more limited in that aspect. And I think the foundation, without there being a real centralized place, Lolita, there's a lot of resources out there, but it can get kind of overwhelming as a newbie. So I find it really helpful to look through these Gothic Lolita Bibles and see how different brands style their pieces as well as the street snap section. It allows me to learn and take pieces that I find interesting and try them out for myself, which is how I ended up getting to Abilletage. When you go to Lolita fashion, especially as a foreigner, there's an abundance of sweet Lolita that is usually the forefront of what people find out first. You've got your big brands like Angelic Pretty, Metamorphose Temps to Fee, Baby the Star Shine Bright, and Moi Moi Moitié if you are more gothic leaning. But outside of that, there are a lot of various indie and small brands that it can be hard to keep track of or to find ones that stick with your particular sense of style. Outside of Lolita, I tend to wear more gothic or punk fashion, although definitely way more casually. Because of that, when I went to Abilletage's website, I found their pieces that they were selling to be something I could wear not only in Lolita, but in my day-to-day life as well. So let's rewind. What really inspired me first and foremost was seeing an all-black coordinate where it was a main piece that was most, if not only, black, and yet they had these very patterned tights that color-wise didn't necessarily match with whatever else was going on in the main piece. And as a sweet Lolita, I can really rely on things like the print in order to pull from colors out of that. But as someone who is newer to old school Lolita, where typically pieces would maybe have one or two colors, I was finding myself stuck on how one would go about making each coordinate feel different. I have this beautiful black and white Ribbon Milky Sugar OP from Baby the Star Shine Bright. And in my mind, I was trying to think of the different ways that I would cord it outside of wearing black or white. And I started to think maybe it was something where people just wore different black blouses and socks and cuts, and that was the way that they made intrigue with the different coordinates they came up with. It was seeing this cord in particular that really burst that bubble and allow me to see different options that I hadn't previously considered. Alongside the full magazine page spreads, there was also these smaller spreads from various accessory shops where it would be each shop that was listed as well as one or two things that they were showcasing from their designs. And for Abilletage, it was this beautiful corset as well as this pointy bird like necklace. And since I am trying to move away from buying things like main pieces and blouses and focus on these accessory details, immediately I thought, okay, well, why don't I just see if that brand is still active, and I'll go to the website listed in this GLB. Now, if you download an in-browser extension that allows you to translate what is on the page, it's not that hard to navigate throughout the site, and I actually found it very easy and straightforward. Even have a section that is specifically for overseas customers when it comes to ordering and shipping, and that part is in English. Now, I'm going to give you some advice as someone who has recently ordered. Um, Make sure that when you are putting in your payment details, there's a section where you can leave a comment or feedback. Make sure you put how you would like to pay for shipping. I didn't realize this is how they processed payments or shipping, even though I read over this page so many times. So that is my one tip to you. And I want to thank the service person at Abilletage as I tried to use what I have learned of Japanese and what I have of English to say, oops, sorry, I forgot to put in my PayPal address. I can pay this way or this way, because there is a payment window that you have to submit by. They responded and they're like, yeah, no problem. Like, we'll send it to you now. Just make sure you pay it in time. So I would like to thank you, Yumi, helping me with my order because I made a mistake. So I'm looking through the website, and the main thing that Abilletage does is corsets. That's what they seem to be known for. And if you go to their About page, they emphasize the corset. Outside of corset, they have these beautifully ornate tights and OTKs that feature this corset like pattern on various ways. So they'll have different colors as well as different laces that they show in the print tight. And again, me flashing back to this coordinate I saw in GLB, I was like, oh, that could be really fun to mix in with some of my more solid pieces. And I believe after I ordered it, I saw that one of the people from Wonder Party, one of their Lolitas, used a pair of the tights that I ended up getting. So I felt very validated that this was going to be a very flexible tight in my collection. I also got a lot of accessories because, as I said, that is where a lot of my intrigue I think is lacking and how I can add to it. So I'm going to show some of the close-ups to the pieces I got, as well as go over the two ways that I corded them. There's one piece that I was not able to cord, but that I had a very specific idea in mind for, and that is this cafe menu necklace. So Abilletage in their Shinjuku location, it seems like they had a cafe offering at that store location that closed in 2019. Um, and yeah, it just sounded super cool. So the design was really cute, and I thought it would be very versatile for a lot of my tea and food related pieces. Yeah. Outside of that, I am wearing one of the earrings that I got as well, which you will see in a cord later on, hopefully, if it all goes through well. It's a big gold heart that has this white chocolate look with a Greco-Roman style face in gold cut in half with this red diamond, and it just seems very sweet and very classic. So yeah, the ordering through Abilletage, they were very helpful. The thing to keep in mind is that if you are overseas, when you fill out that form, put how you would like to pay in the comment box as you're at the checkout, because I believe you cannot check out directly through the site, and download an in-app translator that will get you all over the place and where you need to go. So now I want to go on to highlighting the pieces that I ended up getting. So first I want to look at the two pairs of tights and give my feedback on them. So they're both very beautiful. The first pair is this very lacy corset print tight, which are OTKs. Yeah, I already can see this being a very versatile and more interesting than just the plain white tight that I currently have to use for coordinates. So I have a lot of ideas for that. I found them to have a decent amount of stretch. They made it at least 2 over my knee, which was very good, and they didn't feel that uncomfortable. Obviously, a lot of these print type OTKs that are the nylon, they tend to roll down a little bit, but that's nothing unusual. And I found them to be very comfortable and they showed up really well on camera as well. Another pair that I got are tights instead of the OTKs. And this is the black large round frame tights, I believe, or like big frame tights, especially for all of the pieces that I have that have more of an art gallery spooky feeling to them. So maybe I could wear this with my all black Metamorphose bridal OP, or I could wear this even with Angelic Pretty's princess cat, because I feel like those cats would definitely have some portraits hung up in their home. After that, we have the various so I'm gonna do what I can. What I have is these white ones. The other pair of earrings that I got are by Sleepless Child. This is a pair that I see myself wearing outside of Lolita fashion as well. I found them a little bit heavy, but I have multiple ear piercings so in my ear. I think this is just gorgeous, the intricate painting of the bead. It looks both like a lamp and like something I would see. I don't know, I just love it. Now I also got a bracelet. This echoes the ring that I'll be showing in just a moment, and I think it pairs really well with the white chocolate Greco-Roman art heart frame earring. It's very romantic and bittersweet, and I think that really emphasizes the Rococo romance that is associated with Lolita fashion, at least for me. I've been feeling way more romantic about it recently. So really cool piece. I think I can wear it with most of my wardrobe. That, looking at the rings, the 2 rose rings are from Sleepless Child as well, and they show up really well. They're huge, but without being too much of a strain for the hand. They're not like massive and weighty. I think it's cool because the way these are adjustable, it has this cage. And I remember back in the aughts this being super popular, especially for emo friends of mine who had more rings in their wardrobe. And I mean, I like them. The thing that I would note is that it feels like not like they'll break, but that if you extend them to a certain size, I had a harder time closing it down to a smaller size after the fact. So for example, when trying one of these ons, I put it on my biggest finger and I had a harder time closing it on my smaller fingers after the fact. It was still pretty comfortable. I think be careful because it is metal and it is cut out a certain way. Those areas can get a little pinched if you're not mindful, but pretty comfortable, very cute. The black frame, red rose frame ring. I think this could be my chef's kiss for the order. It's just gorgeous. It's got this teardrop bead that is dangling, so if I'm wearing it and it's facing down, it just dangles and drips in a way that's just so cool. I don't know, I love it. 10 out of 10. I liked everything, really. Let's see. So I guess I'll go through the 2 coordinates that I came up for these pieces. And I've got to say, the first one I'm not the most thrilled about, but it is what I put together and it was experimental. I was going for a more I Am the Art Museum inspired situation. So I've got Innocent Worlds, Angels in Stained Glass Church Choir, JSK in navy. And I thought I could pair it with this black meta blouse that was kind of ruffly. That way it still kept emphasis on the collar. And I could tie in those big round black tights as well. At least that was what I was trying to do here. I'm not sure how successful it was, and that was more of a me cording thing. But I will say I really like the tights. I'm gonna add that if you are over a certain size, I would say I feel like my thighs and my butt were the maximum size that would be allowed to go into these pants. And that was with a little bit of pressing. Very comfortable and very cute, but I would not recommend the tights if you are more on the plus side, especially if you carry most of your weight in your thighs or your butt, because that could lead to some difficulty getting them on and keeping them on comfortably. The next coordinate that I did is a recreation and almost a re-envisioning of this one cord I did about a week or so ago. And it is with Metamorphose Temptiphes Twinkle Journey Underbust JSK. This is from the more recent release of the print. I'm also wearing a super old Metamorphose cotton Rochelle lace blouse. I think it's from 2003 or 2006. It's definitely the oldest piece I have right now. The lace is super pretty, as well as the sleeve. I think it's super over dramatic without it being overwhelming, and it leads into this more romantic-y, gothic-y feel. So here I'm wearing a unicorn necklace that is from something else completely, but I'm wearing a rose canatier from Angelic Pretty, as well as those Sleepless Child dangle earrings, which are black and have this red rose in them. I'm also wearing the white slash ivory corset side lacing. Very comfortable. They have these in a lot of different colors, and they have other corset inspired socks on their site. So if that is something that's interesting to you, I would definitely recommend checking them out. Also got the rings. So if I didn't point it out already, these are the rose rings. So let me know what you think of these pieces and if there's any inspiration that you've taken from Gothic Lolita Bibles and how that has influenced your style today, or just different things that you've tried. I'm not entirely thrilled with the way that Innocent World coordinate turned out, but I'm also not that upset, and I'm glad that I tried something different. So overall, would I recommend ordering from Abilletage? Absolutely, especially if it's something that would fit your style in and out of Lolita. They've got these beautiful blouses as well as these corsets, which I didn't touch on because, as I said, I am focusing more on a low to no buy at this time. And I'm trying to be more mindful with what I purchase when I purchase. So I could see myself getting a blouse from them definitely at some time in the future when I am more looking that way. If you are interested in their stuff and you don't feel like going through their website, I believe Atelier Pro has some of their stock for sale on their website as well. Um, yeah, so just don't be overwhelmed if you don't speak Japanese and you go to their site and it's all in Japanese. Download that web extension and follow the instructions on their page that say for overseas customers, leave a note when you're checking out where you want to be charged. My big recommendations. So outside of Lolita recommendations, I would have to recommend the band Radkey, especially if you are more into punk. They're super cool and talented. I've seen them once in person, and I'm hoping one day to see them again, but they are Missouri based, so they don't often come around my way. If I had to recommend a song or two from them, their go-to hit, Dark Black Makeup or PAW, highly recommend if you like punk music or you're looking to try something different. Now, more Lolita fashion specific stuff. If you're looking for creators to listen to or follow along, I would highly recommend Marina K, I believe is the username, as she has this really cool series that is ongoing where she interviews different people about various subjects that I think are super important to talk about in our community, and there's many different perspectives that make for a really interesting listen. Thank you for watching, and once again, let me know if you have a favorite GLB, if there's any GLB coordinates that particularly inspired you to try something different. Have you ever tried a cord on that you thought would look perfect in your head, and then you put it on and you were like, ooh, that didn't go as planned? I would love to know. Thank you for watching. You can find me on Instagram and on Tumblr and on Lemonade at Royal Sealy. Okay, real quick, they also sent me this super cute art photo thing